We have an update on the Cody Rhodes injury angle, plus multiple injury updates after Ring of Honor Final Battle, and we had some shock returns at the AEW Dynamite Tapings. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling News right now. Adrenaline in my soul. Happy Christmas, Cody Rhodes. He took a package pile driver from Kevin Owens on Saturday night's main event. Sometimes for Christmas, all you want is a package pile driver. For everything else, there's MasterCard. So Cody Rhodes last seen getting stretchered out of the arena after that assault by Kevin Owens. And then Kevin Owens got to live like every 80s wrestling kid's dream of spending the Christmas season running around with the Winged Eagle Championship, declaring himself the Real World Wrestling Federation champion. What a guy. But what of Cody Rhodes? Well, as it happens, he is absolutely continuing his injury status in everything he does around the holiday season, because here he is taken in a photo taken at an event that his wife Brandy Rhodes put on. She's the founder of the Naked Mind Yoga and Pilates company, and there he is at the event sporting a very fetching black neck brace. And it seems as if all the functions he has left to do for Christmas and into the new year, he's going to be doing wearing said neck brace. And that's commitment to the cause, that is. The only one where we won't see that is on New Year's Day when he's reading the bedtime story on CBeebies. It doesn't seem to have a neck brace for that one. But he has promised to finish the story. Good lad. So when do we see Cody Rhodes next, is the question. Well, I wouldn't be shocked if he turns up at Saturday night's main event. After Saturday night's main event's injury that he suffered, I wouldn't be surprised if he turns up at the Netflix special, the Netflix debut on January the 6th. He's not booked, nor is Kevin Owens. However, Kevin Owens running out, declaring himself the champion, and Cody Rhodes running him off could be something that puts those two on the map on the Netflix special. However, it could be quite crowded on that Netflix special, so possibly we'll see him instead on Friday night on SmackDown on Fox, where they'll just continue that story from there. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble, something to unify, in speech marks, both of those belts. Speaking of both of those belts, what's that Asuka is wearing over her boulder shoulders? Well, we haven't seen Asuka for a little while. Back in the summer, she underwent surgery and consequently dropping the women's tag team titles that she held with Kairi Sane. But she shared that photo over the weekend of herself with the Women's World and WWE Women's Championship belts. This clearly a statement of intent for her return very soon, because it was back in the summer when she suffered the injury and she consequently required surgery that Fightful Select said that we wouldn't see her until next year. Well, next year is like a week and a bit away, so I wouldn't be shocked if we see her popping up maybe, say, around the time of the Royal Rumble. Seems quite a fitting place to have her rocking up once again. She's been a demon on social media, as she is one to do. She posted that this morning as well, which is living my 90s kid dream. The 80s, it was the Winged Eagle belt. The 90s, it was a Nintendo 64 for Christmas. And there's Asuka with everyone's favorite Christmas present from the 90s. Big fan of that. We had Ring of Honor Final Battle on Friday, emanating from the Hammerstein Ballroom. What a noise coming out of the ballroom. AEW should just run the ballroom all the time. Wrestling's easy. Run the ballroom all the time. Two injuries to update you on coming out of Final Battle. Bandido made his well-received return after several weeks of those brilliant hype videos with the wanted posters in the Western town. Bandido appearing and clearing house of the Learning Tree. But something looked off after that initial strike where he hit the dropkick. The missile dropkick onto Chris Jericho. Something seemed off. He seemed to slow all the way down and just looked a bit uncomfortable in there. Well, fears have been confirmed by Wrestling Observer, who say, we are told that Bandido did suffer a concussion on Friday night after landing on the back of his head doing a missile dropkick after the Chris Jericho victory over Matt Cardona. Obviously, Jericho versus Bandito was scheduled in a Ring of Honor title match at some point. That was why Bandito was brought back in the way that he was. The plan is going to be to see Bandito and Jericho mano a mano. However, with concussions, as the Wrestling Observer go on to say, you don't know what it means as far as how long someone will be out of action. So it could just be a couple of weeks and things could just carry on as expected. It could be maybe months. We have seen this injury end full careers. We're hopeful that that's not the case, but we are certainly going to keep an eye on that. And when we know more about Bandito, we'll let you know more at Cultaholic.com. It was after that match with Jericho and Matt Cardona as well that we had some concerns for Matt, who had to be helped to the back with an ankle injury following the match. This comes from Fightful Select, who also say he was on crutches after the show. However, he is hopeful that he will be okay. Crutches, whilst they are a concerning visual, could very much just be an early prevention to stop the injury getting worse. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be on crutches forever. It could just be something that he's put in place to alleviate some of that pressure with his concerns for his ankle. Obviously, we hope Matt Cardona is fine, and we wish him a full and speedy recovery. And we don't like to hear anybody getting injured, but those two in that short space of time may change what was planned going forward for Ring of Honor. We'll keep an eye on it. Staying in the Hammerstein Ballroom, just as AEW did, we had 2 shock returns for the Christmas episode of Dynamite. Now, if you don't want Dynamite spoiled for you, totally get it. This is the part where I say, stay safe and love you, bye. You love, there's. Here, good, you're still here. Thank you. So, 2 returns. First of all, it's Taz! AEW commentator and human suplex machine Taz back behind the commentation station. It would seem it was good to see Taz back in front of the Hammerstein Ballroom crowd. Big reaction for Taz, who's been away after getting surgery to basically repair his entire body at this point. But delighted to have Taz returning, and big reaction from the Hammerstein Ballroom, as you would expect. I mean, it's Taz. The other big name that popped up during Dynamite, a former Ring of Honor World Champion that hasn't been on AEW TV since 2021. QT Marshall and Aaron Solo facing Rocky Romero and his mystery partner, Homicide. Former Ring of Honor World Champ Homicide, back in the Hammerstein Ballroom, back on AEW TV for the first time in 3 years as well. In fact, the Hammerstein is extra appropriate for our boy Homicide because it's the venue where he beat Bryan Danielson for the world title in Ring of Honor. Extra fitting to see Homicide back there. We don't know at this point whether or not we're going to see him around for a long time or just a good time. But when we know more, we'll let you know more at Cultaholic.com. On the podcast feed right now, a brand new interview with a viral wrestling sensation. By now, on your socials, you may have seen footage of Stephen Flo. He's with us on the podcast feed this morning. I had a lovely chat with the guy behind Stephen Flo, his 8-year wrestling journey to get here and some of the speed bumps he's had along the way, how the Stephen Flo dream came to life. And I hear tell that he wants to DDT Chris Jericho onto a pillowcase full of concrete. That might be something that we talked about. It's on the podcast feed right now. Frankie Kazarian joins me tomorrow on Christmas Eve ahead of TNA Genesis. We talk about some of the changes to the locker room in TNA over the past few months, and we talk about Chris Bay, we talk about Joe Hendry, and of course his plans for next year as well. That is all on the podcast feed tomorrow. And on Christmas Day, it is the Cultaholic Classic Review Christmas Special. They're always a little bit wild and woolly, and I am excited to see what you make of this one. Boxing Day, it will be a wonderful interview with Finley Martin, the editor of Power Slam magazine. And we talk about the history of that great publication as well. Loads happening on the podcast feed over the festive season. And for the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Stay safe and love you. Bye.